Since its inception in Gears of War 1 in 2006, the Gnasher has been the go-to multiplayer weapon for short-range encounters. As a third-person, cover-based shooter, Gears of War has, of course, always struggled with how do two players engage at close range. What advantages and disadvantages does a player have based on different types of cover and different types of weapons? The weapon that has shown above and beyond all others has been the Gnasher up until now. Something caught my eye in the new Gears of War 4 cover release in the new Game Informer magazine, and that was the combat knives. To read directly from the article, we find combat knives. These knives are used for close quarter melee kills. Melee execution animations vary depending on the player's angle and approach toward their enemy in multiplayer. Each faction has its own knife design. Now that alone would not be something brand new. There's always been a melee in Gears of War. Now it's never been a one-hit kill melee, but we've dealt with the two-piece for generations across multiple platforms for Gears of War since its first incarnation in Gears of War 1 and its newest incarnation in Gears of War Ultimate Edition. But it is this, spoken by Rob Ferguson, that really changes the landscape of how Gears of War Online is going to play. Now, while they were talking about how players engage in short range over cover, he says this: the Coalition redesigned Gears' mantle kick system, allowing players to more easily vault over a piece of cover and kick enemies out of defensive positions. Now players can hop over any piece of cover in one smooth stroke, and if an enemy is on the other side, they are left vulnerable to a quick melee kill from the new combat knife. In addition to the mantle kick, players can also choose to stay in cover and pull their opponent over to their side of the battle before gutting them. Alternatively, while moving out of cover, players can perform a short distance shoulder charge, which knocks enemies off balance and opens up a short window to sink their blade through the enemy's brain pan. For any hardcore Gears of War Gnasher player, this should be terrifying. Now, the mantle kick from Gears of War 3 has always been a point of contention among players, since it's almost a 50-50 shot now of who gets the mantle kick, the person sliding into cover or the person who's already in cover. Not to mention the fact that it's a little wonky whenever you're just slightly off center from your opponent. Now, it wasn't always this way in Gears of War 3. At the very beginning, before one of the title updates, the mantle kick was much more consistent, with whichever player managing to time the move correctly being able to execute the mantle kick. But there's more to the mantle kick than just the timing that makes it unique. Also the fact that it leaves you completely vulnerable on the other side of the cover. You attack someone who has support, and you're likely to also die and give the other team the positioning that you originally wanted. Yes, you get the kill maybe, but you not only sacrifice your position and your respawn, you could also give that position to the enemy in order to advance forward. The newest mechanic that they're talking about, pulling an opponent over cover and stabbing them, completely negates the need for good Gnasher play close up. It also completely negates the need to challenge someone over cover. Up until this point in Gears of War, the player with the most experience or that has the most skill will almost always win the short-range encounter over cover, considering all the different techniques that you can use, such as the back A, to give yourself that extra advantage over another opponent. That and out-positioning have played roles that have never before been seen in Gears of War. Now, I'm not saying that the Gnasher will not be viable. As a short-range to medium-range weapon, it will probably still be the most viable weapon in the game. However, it will no longer be the go-to. These combat knives change the entire system of short-range encounters. They not only give you no longer a reason to slide into cover with your Gnasher, but less of a reason to even bring your Gnasher. Think about this. Would you rather have the Gears of War 3 Lancer mixed with a power weapon or a Gnasher that you can only use at medium to short range? That's almost completely outclassed by the melee, which is guaranteed one-hit KO, and if it's anything like the lock-on melee from 1 to Ultimate Edition, why would you even want a Gnasher? The whole point of trading your assault rifle now is to have a short range and a long range weapon. That's almost always what you want in any Gears of War encounter. You want to be able to engage them at a medium to long range as well as a short range. That's why most players keep either their sawed-off or their Gnasher on hand at all times and choose to trade out their assault rifle. But this changes the complete landscape. A Gnasher can only be used in medium to short range, but a Lancer can be used long to medium range. Add in a combat knife, which can be used in short range encounters, and you already have your full loadout with all your bases covered. That leaves you one extra weapon slot to fill with any power up you desire, as you already have everything filled. Now the thing we aren't talking about is whether the combat knife will take up an extra slot. So let's say you could have the Gnasher and the combat knife, or the Lancer and the combat knife. That has not been yet announced. This would change it even more. Would you want to be a close-up blitz player with a Gnasher and a combat knife who slides into cover, gets around, outmaneuvers, and tries to outplay your opponent close range? Or will you sit back? Will you Lancer? Will you keep it calm? Will you steadily increase forward, moving and working as a support player? This, as a system, would change the dynamic of Gears of War completely. No longer would you have someone who would be able to switch between long range and short range. You wouldn't have to choose mid-game whether you're switching from a long range to short range player. You would know going in, I have a Gnasher and I have a combat knife. I am rushing, I am blitzing, I am getting to positions quicker, I am taking positions quicker, and I am taking lives quicker than they can take mine. Or, alternatively, you'll sit back, support your teammates, give them that covering fire, take positions, hold positions while your rushing players blitz in from the sides. You keep them focused on the middle, flush them out of cover, keep them in cover while someone could come and use the improved mantle kick to get them into a disadvantageous position for your team to take advantage of. But these are just my thoughts on the matter. I think, personally, it needs to take a loadout slot. Otherwise, there'll be no reason to have the Gnasher in the game at all, and it'll completely change the landscape of multiplayer. There will no longer be the high-level skill gun battles that we see, or at least they won't be in the same capacity. There won't be the need for them anymore. Instead, you'll see much more support. You'll see supportive players using Lancers, trying to outmaneuver, and then only moving in whenever they know that the opponent cannot, in any way, shape, or form, take the position away from them. As always, guys, this is just a theory that I am putting out there based on my interpretation of the article. If you have any thoughts or opinions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I've been Savage Rennie, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.